With McLaren extending their domination of Formula 1 to a fourth consecutive year, it's time to take a look at the young talents coming up through Formula 3 and Formula 3000. British F3. Two Brazilians and a Scot shared most of the glory in British Formula 3 in 1991, as an exciting and close-run season saw Rubens Barrichello of West Surrey Racing duke it out with Gilda Ferran of Edenbridge and rookie David Coulthard of Paul Stewart's F3 outfit. The season started with a win for future tin top ace Ricard Riddell, and there were also wins for Steve Robertson and Japanese driver Hideki Noda, driving his second season in the series for Alan Docking Racing. The two Brazilians shared every pole bar 2 between them, but Coulthard ran them close, and it ended with Barrichello taking the honours, with Coulthard second and De Ferran third, a vintage year with a number of future stalwarts of different categories coming through. Of note too were the two Soviet drivers who entered 4 rounds in the early summer, Estonian Urmas Pult and Russian Viktor Kozenkov. The Junior Class B was won by Finnish driver Pekka Herva, with American Sandy Brodie runner-up. German Formula 3. It all came down to consistency in German F3, as Dane Tom Christensen won the most races with just 3 of 11, the other 8 gold medals being shared out among Wolfgang Kaufmann and Peter Cox, 2 each, Marco Werner, Mark Hessel, Frank Kramer and Klaus Panschitz, while Jörg Müller placed 4th overall despite a brace of second places being his best results. In his strange season, Christensen was consistently the best though, and won at a canter in the end, but it's notable with hindsight that after producing a series of future stars in the past few years, Schumacher, Wendlinger and Frentzen most notably, there were no future F1 drivers in the field this year at all. French Formula 3. French F3 was an entirely francophone affair as usual, with only 2 non-French drivers, Monegasque's Olivier Beretta and Stéphane Ortelli, troubling the scorers. It was a close season which eventually resolved into 2 two-way scraps, as Christophe Bouchou pipped Olivier Panis to the title, while Eric Shelley beat Frank Lagorce to third, despite Lagorce winning twice to Shelley's once. The 4 hogged all the wins between them, with greater consistency again seeing Bouchou, 4 wins, hold off Panis, 5 wins, to take the series title. Italian Formula 3. Across the Alps in Italy, the wins were again spread around a lot of drivers, enabling Giambattista Buzzi to squeak the title despite winning only 2 of the 12 rounds, holding off strong challenges by Domenico Schiattarella, 2 wins, Andrea Gilardi, 3 wins, and Luca Badoa, 3 wins. Gilles Villeneuve's son Jacques, much improved in 1990, was said to be an outside favourite for the title, but car troubles relegated him to 6th with just 3 podiums and 20 points, though he still got 2 more than Massimiliano Papis, who won twice. Maybe next year. Japanese Formula 3000. There was little question about the winner in Japan's domestic series, with Gerard Larousse's 1992 F1 recruit Ukio Katayama storming away with the title. Ross Cheever had another season of unreliability. The 3 wins late on that took him to second place overall were actually his only finishes of the season. Last year's runaway winner Kazuyoshi Hoshino was also banjaxed by unreliability, 2 wins in a second all he could manage, with ex-ATS man Volker Weidler, Brabham-bound Akihiko Nakaya and Northern Irish driver Eddie Irvine all chalking up a win each. Johnny Herbert might wish he'd not bothered, splitting his time between Japan and Lotus meanwhile, with just 9 points for Team Le Mans, for whom Michael Schumacher also made a cameo appearance, coming second on his only appearance at the Sugo circuit. British Formula 3000. The British F3000 series was struck by tragedy in 1991 as Paul Warwick, Derek's younger brother and a protege of Nigel Mansell, was killed when leading round 5 at Alton Park. With the race stopped, he was posthumously awarded the win, which cemented his dominance, having also won the opening 4 events. Swede Fredrik Ekblom gave it a solid go with 3 wins in the remaining 6 rounds, but could only manage 4th at the last round of Donington to give Paul Warwick a popular title by 3 points. Dave Coyne took the first 2 wins after Warwick's accident for the GJ Bromley team, but the winner at the last race at Donington, placing 3rd overall, was Julian Westwood, driving for a new team, Kane Cordy Motorsports, founded by 2 ex-Williams engineers. International Formula 3000. A new radial ply Avon tyre set the cat among the pigeons in International F3000, with the short wheelbase Lola T9150 chassis apparently unable to get most out of them, and a couple of teams switched mid-season to Rolt chassis. Alessandro Zanardi got the ball rolling at Vallelunga with a surprise win for the new Il Barone Rampante team, widely described as a Benetton Junior team. He led home Christian Fittipaldi, son of Wilson and nephew of Emerson, and Antonio Tamburini, those two drivers of the Pacific team which was looking to rebuild after a disappointing 1990. Eddie Jordan Racing had a promising start as a junior team, with the top talent now in F1, with a fourth place for Damon Hill. Another new team was Mike Earle's post-Onyx venture, 3001 International, who hadn't had a great debut in Vallelunga, but came good on the streets of Pau, with Frenchman Jean-Marc Gounon, who'd failed to qualify last time out, winning, while his teammate Andrea Montemini qualified on pole. Fittipaldi was second again, with Cobra Motorsports' Eric Ellery also coming good on home soil in third. Jerez was still on the F3000 circuit for now, and saw Christian Fittipaldi finally step onto the top of the podium, leading Zanardi home, with Montemini third and Tamburini fourth, another strong showing for Pacific. Next up was an Italian double-header at Mugello and Pergusa, and with so many Italians competing, there was a lot of pressure to do well. The Mugello race saw an Italian 1-3, with Zanardi leading home Fittipaldi, followed by Marco Apicella, taking his first podium of the year for the Paul Stewart team. Vincenzo Sospiri was fourth for Eddie Jordan, with Alan McNish fifth and taking the first points for the suddenly struggling Dams team, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen nabbing the last point for the Dutch Vortex team, for whom he was the sole driver. In Pergusa it was the turn of the Forti Corse team to shine, as their replacement Ralt chassis came good to give Emanuele Naspetti the win, with Apicella second and Zanardi's teammate Giuseppe Bugatti third, as both Alessandro and Christian failed to finish. Naspetti won again in Hockenheim, with Sospiri second and Karl Wendlinger third for the RSM Marco team, in just his third entry of the year. It would actually be one of only 5 races he entered, 2 of which he finished third and fifth. The circus moved to Brands Hatch, where Naspetti won again, leading home Zanardi and Fittipaldi, then Apicella and Tamburini, though Damon Hill did salvage some honour for the dwindling British contingent with 5th place. To Spa, and while the world's media were talking of nothing but Gachot and Schumacher, Emanuele Naspetti picked up win number 4 on the bounce, again leading home Zanardi, with Laurent Aiello finally getting his first points on the board for Dams in third, and first racing's Eric Ellery troubling the scorers for the first time since round 3 in 4th place. At the Le Mans Bugatti circuit, Naspetti's streak was finally broken as he retired, with Pacific Racing's Antonio Tamburini finally getting a win, leading his teammate Fittipaldi home, while Zanardi retired and Montemini finished third for the second time, the only 2 times he scored points all season. A week later, Zanardi made his F1 debut for the Jordan team and acquitted himself well, but in F3000 the focus was on the last race at Nogaro, with everything still to play for, as Naspetti and Zanardi were tied on top with 36 points each, with Fittipaldi just 4 points behind the pair. Fittipaldi took pole, Zanardi set the fastest lap, but it was the Brazilian that led across the line to take race and title win, with Damon Hill taking third for Jordan to lift himself to 7th overall, just ahead of teammate Sospiri. Naspetti could only manage 6th in the end, but it had been a terrific 3-way scrap for the title, and all 3 drivers had shown that they had what it takes to make it in F1. Zanardi has already made his debut, though whether he'll be picked up for 1992 is another matter, so now the others will want their go too. Macau Grand Prix. And so to the traditional season finale, the Macau Grand Prix, where drivers and teams from across the F3000 and F3 scenes converge on the Portuguese colony off the Chinese coast for an end-of-term shindig and a race with an unfamiliar car and driver combinations, odd sponsors and all the razzmatazz that Teddy Yip can muster. Yip's own Theodore Racing outfit, paired up with Edenbridge to run the Brazilian pairing of Gil de Ferran and Christian Fittipaldi. Volkswagen ran German and Italian F3 champions Christiansen and Boozy in their works team. Paul Stewart paired up with fellow Scot David Coulthard for his own team. West Surrey Racing had 3 cars for Rubens Barrichello, Jordi Genet and Julian Bailey. Prema bought Schiattarella and Villeneuve. The Japanese Toms Toyota team had Ricard Riddell and Japanese F3 pairing of Victor Rosso and Paolo Karaski, and there was a usual sprinkling of local entries and privateers. Ricard Riddell took pole for the first race, and viewers were treated to a terrific, if brief, scrap between the Swede and his British F3 rival David Coulthard, who got ahead on the first lap and put his foot down, leaving Riddell to be attacked by Jordi Gené at the head of a train of other cars. Soon enough, the Spaniard was through too, and that pretty much settled the top three. But there was a cracking battle for fourth, with Max Angelelli, Christian Fittipaldi and Tom Christensen all running close together, with the Dane soon also acquiring a tail in the shape of Gilles de Ferran. Behind them, Rubens Barrichello and Hideki Noda were having a fighty scrap over ninth, while Christensen moved ahead of Fittipaldi and was all over Angelelli. All entertaining stuff, but it was Coulthard's race as he romped home to a dominant win, shattering Mika Häkkinen's 1990 lap record and getting quite near Riddell's pole time. Gené and Riddell finished in widely separated second and third places, with the battle for fourth going right to the line. Angelelli took it, Gilles de Ferran had made his way back up to fifth, Fittipaldi was sixth and Christensen seventh, with Barrichello and Villeneuve eighth and ninth. And then it was time to go again, with Coulthard taking a 9.1 second lead over Gené into the second leg, with Riddell a whopping 23.5 seconds behind the Scot at the line. Coulthard will, of course, have been keenly aware of being in the same boat as Mika Häkkinen last year, who went into race 2 with the lead and crashed out at the end. He lined up on pole alongside Gené and off they went, with Marcel Albers not so much jumping the start as vaulting clear over it, and Riddell compensating by going nowhere at all. Coulthard led Gené around lap 1, the pair pulling away from Max Angelelli and the train of cars behind. Gené was all over Coulthard, keen to get past and do something about that 9-second aggregate lead, breaking the lap record again but finding no way past. Fittipaldi, meanwhile, had made his way up to third and was chasing the leaders down. Gené stayed in Coulthard's wheel tracks until finally he got through on lap 12 of the 15, but would he have enough time to take the lead on aggregate? 9 seconds in 3 laps was a big ask. Behind the top three, once again the battle for fourth was a fine scrap too, with Max Angelelli, Rubens Barrichello and Tom Christensen all going at it hammer and tongs. Jordi Gené gave it a good go. He'd never won an F3 race, and breaking his duck at Macau would be a bit special, but it wasn't to be. Coulthard stuck with the Spaniard and crossed the line just behind to take the win overall. A somehow not disqualified Albers spun on the last lap, sending Noda into the wall, avoiding him. So David Coulthard and Jordi Gené were the top two, Gené having to be content with the fastest lap, and Christian Fittipaldi came in third in both leg 2 and overall. Angelelli, Barrichello and Christensen made up the overall top 6. So, that was the junior Formula scene in 1991. Some talented drivers coming through, a couple already F1 bound and others looking to take the next step up.
You know, to win here in Macau obviously is a great experience because a lot of big names in Formula 1 have won here in the past. So I thoroughly hope that this can help set me up for the future.
Now surely we must see you in Formula 3000 very, very soon.
Yeah, I'm trying to do Formula 3000 next year, and we're working on the budget for that. And hopefully this win here might help me to find some further sponsorship.
Now after being overtaken in the second leg, you must have been thinking about what happened to Mika Häkkinen last year.
Yeah, well, it wasn't so bad after I was overtaken. It was when I was being followed by Gené that I was more aware that something could happen, because he's a good driver, but if he made a slight mistake and ran into the back of me, then maybe I'd go off and he'd continue and win the race. So I was almost relieved when he eventually passed me under braking for Lisboa, because then all I had to do was just follow him, and that was a lot easier.